Hey guys, this is Sebastian. I'm going to cover some sex positions associated with lower back pain today. We're going to keep this this isn't going to be a ranked video, okay? I know this can be easy to make it all rank and everything real quickly, but that's not the point of it. The point of it is to help people mentally and physically get over back pain. So if you're looking for that kind of stuff, just go watch Cinemax or something, okay? So the first thing you have to understand, by the way, this is going to be a little bit more specific to women in this video. We have a man's video that we talked about before, and there's going to be more videos coming like this. And we have a very detailed article that I wrote in the link description below. So go down there and click on it. There's pictures and all this kind of stuff. And it explains all this stuff in more detail than we're going to on YouTube. Just a good visual. So the first thing you have to understand about back pain is that there are mechanics associated with it. It's not just hereditary or how it's going to be for most people. There's things like nerves and little disc and little joints in here that are associated with generators of your symptoms. And so if you challenge those areas and smash them up a little bit, they might speak out. The positions you're in are important, and how you transition into those positions is important as well. And so what we're going to talk about today specifically is women who are dealing with flexion intolerant low back pain. And so flexion intolerant low back pain is going to be more of like your rounded type of stuff, like sagging, more painful when being seated into a chair. Sitting cross-legged is painful, sit-ups, deadlifting, things like that, which is really common, all right? Flexion intolerant is probably the most common, especially if this is the first time of you dealing with lower back pain. Now, the positions that generally are going to be more challenging are the ones that are creating more what we call posterior pelvic tilt, all right? I'm going to show you here, at least on me, what a posterior pelvic tilt is. It's easiest to kind of find on the floor. And sometimes we find actually people who are dealing with back pain when we're starting them out in a rehab program, we kind of coach them into like pick the back up off the floor, push your back into the floor, and they're like, oh, that feels fine, and oh no, that's not good. Even pushing their back down towards the floor is enough of a posterior pelvic tilt or spinal flexion which is intolerable to them. And so everybody's different at different times. If it's painful now, it might not be painful in like 2 weeks. And so reducing your amount of spinal flexion, or at least exposure to spinal flexion, it might be very useful. And it might return you to things like sex, and which will make you and your partner happy. All right. And so usually this is a simple test. Also things like probably going to be here, like bending forward. This is a simple test too. Does this create the back pain? Does this take it away? This is extension, this is flexion. Now, the position that generally doesn't work for people like this is going to be women on top positions, because there's going to be a lot of pelvic tilt, a lot of this going on, okay? And so the pelvic tilt, you're exposing yourself to forward and backward, or round extension. Some people can't even tolerate movement because their spine is so sensitive. And so that kind of flip forward, backward thing is a little bit more challenging, especially in the beginning stages of a woman who's flexion intolerant. With a woman who is flexion intolerant, you might actually fare very well with something like doggy style or quadruped position. All right, there's variations of it. One thing that we do in a rehab setting is a lot of times when we have people dealing with a flexion intolerant back, we put them in a position like this anyways. We call it a quadruped position. And we have them do something called a bird dog exercise, which is slide the foot back, bring the heel up, and just point like a bird dog. And so if you notice my back here, it stays generally flat or extended. In this starting position, people sometimes just default into things like cat-cows, and they're like, oh, that feels good. Oh, that's not good. And so I'm starting to round my lower back, which again, if I'm dealing with a flexion intolerant lower back, which does settle itself if you do the right rehab, if you keep it out of the flex position, such as here, like a flat or a kind of a butt out position, and do the bird dog, it's usually okay. And so a lot of times the sex position can be kind of the same thing. And so it's obviously it's not everything that you can possibly do, but at this point in time, recovering from back pain is challenging, not only for the person, but also it puts some strain on people's relationships too. They've shown through various studies and surveys that people who are dealing with lower back pain, just general, a lot of times they have the desire, but just physical fear, or they're worried about having a flare-up. It's like, is it worth it to not be able to move for the next couple of days? And so giving some freedom in this regard really comes down to having your body stress tested, have your spine stress tested, be exposed to some exercises. We'll figure out what works and doesn't work, and it'll give us a lot of information about what positions are tolerable to you. And if we find positions that your body is generally tolerant of, that your back is tolerant of, things are usually fine, all right? There might be a couple hiccups here and there and a little fearfulness when you first start going back to those activities, but at the same time, sex does not have to be painful for people with lower back pain. It's something that can be returned, and it can be returned very quickly, but you need to be coached, you need to be stress tested, and you need to understand some of the mechanics of what will trigger your back and which ones won't. So all of the resources I have are below. Again, the resources and the research I've cited is in the article as well. Thank you for all the researchers for doing the work. Subscribe to the channel. Like and share, please. Ask any comments that you'd like. We might direct you to something else. And take advantage of all the free gifts we have for you on this channel. We really do our best to make sure that everyone's educated to make an informed decision of what they're going to do with their body. There's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet, and I'm sure in 10 years this is going to be misinformation too. We tend to learn more and more, and so on. We learn more every day in Performance Place. So we're in Costa Mesa. We'd love to help you out virtually or in person. We've had people fly in for this type of thing as well. So if you really want the help, we're here to help you. So we'll see you guys next time. Subscribe, like the channel. Talk to you later.